When you had the success that we had, it's really scary when you see something stop working.
If you continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, you begin to train your list and they ignore it.
You have to look at what's on the news and you have to look at what's going on in the world, and that'll all affect your store.
Ever wonder how those e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they know just the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized multi-channel marketing campaigns using your most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant emails and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with a free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. Today's episode is sponsored by ChatDesk. Let's be real, the holiday season is approaching quickly, and we all know what that means. Inboxes flooded with customer emails and overwhelming social media activity. What if we told you that ChatDesk could supercharge your support team with superfans of your brand and instantly train them to perfectly respond with your brand's voice and policy from day one? No, you're not dreaming. With ChatDesk, machine learning and human support come together to transform your support tickets into satisfied customers. Leading companies such as Thinx and Shea Moisture use ChatDesk to increase their Facebook and Instagram ad conversion by up to 15%. With one click, ChatDesk connects with your existing help desk so you can have time for the rest of your to-do list and make Black Friday and Cyber Monday the best ever. For a limited time, you can get started with ChatDesk for free. Check it out at chatdesk.com. That's ChatDesk.com.
You're listening to E-Commerce Uncensored with Kevin Manel and Jason Caruso.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
And Jason.
Yeah. So Kevin, we're going to talk today about a topic that you're having a hard time wrapping your brain around. And I can't say that I'm so surprised. This is typical Kevin Manel. He asks you for something, you give it to him, and then if he didn't think about it, he's not sure how we can proceed.
Look, you know how I am. I told you before we got on. I like to wrap my head around a concept before I just sit down and start recording a podcast about it. So that's what
I know,
happens.
but you asked me for a
I
topic,
knew you were
and
going to say this, and I knew eventually this was going to come up because I'm always like asking you for topics. You come up with one, and I'm like, because sometimes in my head, like I think of these things, and you don't know, and I kind of have an idea of what I want to talk about, and then you kind of throw me off.
No, you're a control freak. You're a control freak. And what you like to do, this is your MO, is that you like to ask for things that you already know you have just to be annoying. So anyway, the point is
you have a good strategy too. Is like you'll have a topic, and then I'll have a topic, and we'll end up talking about what I wanted to talk about, but then you'll just kind of divert the conversation into what you wanted to talk about.
Because what I was want to talk about is much better. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about something, Kevin, that I think maybe a lot of people have experienced. And if you guys have been following us, you know that we have this other brand called the Journal of Wildlife Photography. We don't really shout the name out much, but it is one of our, I would say, most successful brands. It went from zero to a couple $1 million, literally in 12 months. Right. But in this business, if you've done it long enough, you know that nothing tends or seems to last forever. Right. Especially when you're using paid advertising. And in our case, what we did to grow this business so quickly was we did these giveaways right? And we gave away something of high value to our subscribers. And basically, we just promoted the fact that we were doing that. Now, outside of the legal stuff that we got ourselves into, because we had to hire lawyers and we had to do all these things, especially because gambling in the United States, for the most part, unless you're the gaming commissioner or whoever, is illegal.
Yeah, it's something that was interesting to me, and I learned this too. Like when we were going through the giveaway stuff, just kind of a side note, is like you can't just run a raffle to people like without having like a license for it. And I even like the school PTA I was having the same issues with my wife, and it's kind of crazy. Like I didn't even think about that when we first started.
Yeah, and basically, well, a raffle is when you pay for a chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You buy a raffle for a chance to win. It's illegal to do unless you're like a church or a nonprofit or something like that, because in that case, you're allowed to do it. But if you are, because churches will run raffles just to get donations and, that kind of stuff. But if you're like a business or an entity, it's considered gambling.
Right. So it's, and before you go any further, I wanted to say, like, I know that this podcast was like, when we first started the podcast, even through midway through this whole podcast that we've been doing, we've always had this idea that like something was missing from our perspective. And it was because we were working on like the agency and we were always working with these clients, and we were kind of like just working for them and kind of doing what they requested.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having this own brand of ours has totally opened my eyes up into a totally different perspective of like just like customer behaviors and how becoming closer to the actual sales process and seeing how people respond certain ways to different offers. So I think like the concept behind these offers has just changed my mindset. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. Like just like having the ability to do whatever you want without anybody saying yes or no. And us being sort of, with clients, we do have a little bit of, say in what we do, but for the most part, they come to us and say, look, this is the offer we want to run. And we'll say, do this, do that, change this, add this, subtract this, and that kind of thing. This business has given us a different perspective because we're actually, like Kevin said, on the other end, where we actually have to come up with it. And we actually have to see the progression of it, how people respond, how, that side of things. So yeah, it's a completely different side of things. And, when you had the success that we had, it's really scary when you see something stop working.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, in the past, we've talked about an offer that stops working because of certain things that are going on. And this is even before the pandemic. We talked about like, hey, you have to look at what's on the news and you have to look at what's going on in the world, and that'll all affect your store. And, we, like I said, this is kind of something that we've just gone through. So let's back up, Kevin, and let's talk about what happened. So we grew this business to about $2 million in 1 year using giveaways, right? We were giving away like $20,000 packages and $13,000 camera lenses, gigantic things that people on their own may struggle to pay for, but could win, as a subscriber.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where we talk about the irresistible offer all the time, and we understand like that's the key to this whole thing. But we understand that it's not the easiest thing to come up with. Like you try 100 different things before you actually figure out what that is. And it was like at that point we figured we hit on our irresistible offer, and it couldn't fail at that point. And then certain things happened.
Yeah, I mean the pandemic hit, and the business actually started doing a little bit better. Like initially.
Mm-hmm.
It started doing some gigantic numbers. And then as the pandemic dragged, the offers that were bulletproof became full of holes, right? Yeah. Like they stopped working, and the interesting thing, Kevin, about this entire process that I don't know that if you've been tracking, but I have mentally been tracking it, this year, our gross sales are not going to be the same or as high, but our profit is going to be, because we didn't spend $1 million on Facebook ads like we did. So when you look at our numbers, the majority of it, beside, paying our staff and paying everybody, our team and that kind of stuff, that quote unquote artificial profit number is about the same, right? We did 2 million, we made $1 million.
Right.
This year, we really didn't spend much money on paid advertising.
We replaced that spend with employees and
right? Exactly.
And things like that. Yeah.
We invested the money back into the business.
Right.
So, yeah. So the point is
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to think about, because we did more of a ninja type thing. We did a lot of emails. We did a lot of what did we do? Else did we do? Mostly email.
Emails, yeah. And well, we gave ourselves. We spent a lot of money last year building up our email list, and we've kind of been using that asset in the meantime, where like we were kind of like changing our offer and testing different things and seeing what different things would work, because it's just kind of like, it was the strangest thing, man. It was like we couldn't stop people from buying the journal when we had this offer going, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, I'm not that interested anymore, and it just kind of died off. Even like the same, like we did change giveaways, we did different giveaways, right? So we knew certain giveaways worked better than others, but then we would bring back a one giveaway that worked, and it would do nothing. We're like, what happened? What changed? We did nothing.
Yeah. So in other words, we had a cycle of giveaways that just worked, and we timed them with the time of year. For an instance, we did a giveaway, and this is interesting. This is really interesting, because this is something I think that we haven't really accounted for. We did a giveaway for Yellowstone National Park, a workshop to Yellowstone this time of year, to win a trip to go in January to a workshop. Now, that made sense to do it now and then give it away in January. Right. We're in November right now. We would run it like September, October, November, December, and then give it away in January. We tried that last year. It didn't work. We said, okay, let's try now the lens, the $13,000 lens. That has to work. And then that didn't work. So then we were like, all right, screw it. Let's give these things a break. Now, fast forward to 2021, all these things have happened on, with the pandemic and whatever. And I didn't think about, not that I didn't think about this, but, Jared and some of these other wildlife photographers that we know personally said like, no, the workshop business is really picking up, meaning people are really starting to go back on workshops because they weren't going during the pandemic.
Yeah. Countries are opening back up. Flights are, people are traveling more, those kinds of things.
Ever wonder how those e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they know just the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized multi-channel marketing campaigns using your most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant emails and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with a free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. Today's episode is sponsored by ChatDesk. Let's be real, the holiday season is approaching quickly, and we all know what that means. Inboxes flooded with customer emails and overwhelming social media activity. What if we told you that ChatDesk could supercharge your support team with superfans of your brand and instantly train them to perfectly respond with your brand's voice and policy from day one? No, you're not dreaming. With ChatDesk, machine learning and human support come together to transform your support tickets into satisfied customers. Leading companies such as Thinx and Shea Moisture use ChatDesk to increase their Facebook and Instagram ad conversion by up to 15%. With one click, ChatDesk connects with your existing help desk so you can have time for the rest of your to-do list and make Black Friday and Cyber Monday the best ever. For a limited time, you can get started with ChatDesk for free. Check it out at chatdesk.com. That's ChatDesk.com.
And, you know, we always told Jared, we told our business partners and these other people, like, look, maybe for the die-hard wildlife photographer, they are traveling on workshops. But the majority of people, we've always felt like they weren't traveling, but they were seeing something different in the field, right? Long story short, we started running this lens giveaway now in November of 2021, during the time that we're supposed to be running the Yellowstone giveaway.
Yeah, where it really worked. It was actually, was that the first giveaway we did that was
Yellowstone.
really successful? That was the first one.
Yeah.
And it was when we first started the business in like September of
2019. So we just thought like this would be a good time to do it. But we gave, for almost a year, we gave these giveaways a break. And instead of doing the Yellowstone giveaway, we did a lens giveaway. And now the lens giveaway that did not work last year, like the restart, right, of last year, it's now working again.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think part of it, you know, there's a lot of factors, but I think one of the biggest factors is that you begin to train your list and your audience, and they get like almost what?
Sorry, that's a good point. Our list wasn't even buying stuff.
Yeah.
And they always did.
Oh yeah. We would send an email. We came on this podcast. We're like, well, we can send an email right now and make a few $1,000s. It was like, wasn't even a question. We were always looking for different things to send just so we could get this giveaway or this offer in front of people. And it was gangbusters, right? And then I really can see, and like once again, like I said, like having this business has opened my eyes and given me a different perspective into, you know, an e-commerce or a brand like this or a store, that if you continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, you begin to train your list, and they almost like they ignore it. I mean, they just see it and they're like, it's another to give away. Like I didn't win the last one, and they start to just ignore it and not see it. It's like almost like a psychological thing. They're like, you know, that's just the company who does these giveaways. And then, so taking that pause and giving it a break was really what I think helped us out. And when we revived this offer, it really took off again.
You know, I think like the bigger Kevin story of this episode is that timing and what's going on in the world and what people are willing to spend their money on are all factors in what makes an offer work and what makes an offer fail. And, you know, I was thinking about this morning, right? I was outside, first day after being sick, having a cigar, haven't had a cigar in a while, down here in South Carolina. The weather's still nice in the 70s. Low 70s, 70 to 72, whatever.
Okay. All right. Okay. 70, 45 degrees here.
Yeah. So I'm outside, you know, smoking a cigar, and I'm thinking about the role that social media, any platform, plays in your marketing. And I just was thinking about how people are so fixated on the platform. And at the end of the day, it's really the offer. It's always the offer. It is always the offer. Always.
Right.
Now, again, timing and stuff like that all matters. But at the end of the day, it's not really Facebook. It's not really YouTube. It's not really Google. It's what you have to give people. is really like, this is just like a side thought I had this morning, is like, man, we always think about the platform being responsible for the success, but it's really not. You're really just getting attention from the platform and bringing people into your ecosystem, so to speak.
And you've always said, and I was kind of like skeptical about you would always say, like, especially when COVID first started, you're like, oh, people are losing their jobs. People are worried about their retirements. People aren't going to spend money. And I was like, oh, is there really people really thinking about that? Is that really an issue going on? And then it was like, we're going to give a workshop away and people are going to have to travel, but people aren't traveling right now. And like all these different factors play such a huge part in. So I think the point is like, if you've had an offer that's worked in the past and it slows down and it stops working, I don't think you necessarily need to give up on it. Maybe there's just so many other factors that are involved and you need to maybe take a break from that offer and just let it breathe and like make your list and your audience think that you're not doing it anymore. And then when you open it back up, it's like you almost bring it back to life and people start paying attention again.
And that's what happened with us, is like, now that the stuff of the pandemic calmed down, we started doing these offers and these giveaways, and we weren't doing them for a while. And now people are jumping on them. Mm-hmm. I think, we've learned, it's easy to come on this podcast and talk about things that everybody talks about. Like, try a lot of different offers. Don't ever give up. Keep trying. Blah, 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 all this other cliche stuff, right? Until you're really, like when things are going well, everybody's a genius. Everybody's excited. Everybody's like, oh, this is great. And then when things are bad, it's like, oh, this business sucks. I don't know why we're doing it. We got to do something else. Yada, yada, yada. That's just the nature of the way you think.
Yeah.
But it teaches you to stick it through. It teaches you to keep trying and testing and doing other things and that sort of thing. Because a lot of life is about timing. It's all about timing.
Yeah.
Everything we do in our life is about timing. 5 years ago, you couldn't buy your house.
Right.
It's a timing thing. Yeah. Right. 5 years later, now you bought your house.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine 5 years ago. It's crazy. And you can look at, do you know
who came on board about 5 or so years ago?
Who was it? Albert?
Me, asshole. Me. So what are you gonna say?
I forget. I mean, it's just like when you have history, it's just so funny when you have history in a business, and we're starting to have history, 2 years. You can see how the curve of the sales almost like line up identically every year because it's all about timing.
It's all about timing, man. And it's definitely a lesson. And I think I see a lot of beginner entrepreneurs fall into this trap. Like, you look in the groups on Facebook and everybody just wants everybody to tell them what to do and how to do it. At the end of the day, we've always talked about how, like, look, we're just trying to guide you guys, the listeners, like through what we go through. Like, you don't have to do what we're telling you worked for us, but it helps understanding the concepts or some of the strategies that we've used that you can try and go and implement. We have exposure to a lot of brands. We have exposure to, 8-figure brands, 7-figure brands, our own 7-figure brand. Our agency, we've kept it under 7 figures, so like we've
purposely.
had purposely. So there is a lot of experiences that we are exposed to, and we see it on all different levels. And it's funny because the things we're doing for ourselves are the same things we do with 8-figure brands. It's just amplified a little bit.
I think that's what's so great about this podcast, not to like talk up our own podcast, but like we literally we want to be 5 episodes ahead. Like we want to record 5 episodes so we're not always like rushing to get one done. So we have a backlog of episodes. But there's something behind the fact that we just talk about what we're going through in that moment, like our experiences. And these conversations are basically almost like conversations we would have without recording. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
talking about what's going down with our clients and with our businesses. So I think that's what kind of makes us a little different from all these other ones that are just kind of like outlining, here's 5 tips to do this. Yeah, we do that. But when we do those tips, it's just about things that are going on at that moment.
Yeah. So I think, you know, the moral of the story is like testing for sure, timing for sure, and, you know, getting creative, trying new things. You know, and I think at the end of the day, like if you, I was and I'm sorry, I don't mean to like not finish my thought there, but I didn't tell you this, Kevin, but my neighbor 4 houses down, who my son, um, is like best friends with his son. He's the kid, like he's been going to his house every day.
Cool.
He is like, he didn't know what I did or what we did or whatever. And he came over and he saw the podcast thing and the monitors. And he's like, you have a podcast? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh man, I listen to Pat Flynn's podcast. I'm like, oh, I was on Pat Flynn's podcast. He's like, get out of here. He's like, I probably listened to it. And he's in our he develops apps.
Okay.
And he's in our world. And
You might need an app eventually.
yeah, and he's actually like a designer. He does like, he designs like a citizens bank apps. And he said to me, he's like, oh man, he's like, dude, he's like, you know, for so long I was going down your path. I was a freelancer. I was trying to like, and then just one day I was just like, oh, this is too tough. I gotta get a job, my family, I have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, it's funny because the difference between me and you is that I just didn't give up. That was it. Like, I'm not like any smarter than you. Like, it was just like, I've been through those ups and I've been through those downs. And I just personally didn't, I just kept it going. And oftentimes it's just the difference, you know. Russell Brunson talks about you're one funnel away from being rich. It's really the truth. I mean, when I first heard it, it's like, that's crazy. It's the truth.
For me, there's no other way. It's like, if, you know, if the journal went under or whatever, or the agency went under, we just have to, you and I would
figure something else.
Figure something.
Right.
Just figure it out. Yeah. And it was just hustle and just get it done.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Kevin, this was like a good lesson for us. And this is what business is about. It's just lessons and learning and capitalizing on things that you've learned in the past.
Cool. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.
Attention e-commerce founders, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, marketers, and growth hackers. If you're working around the clock to build your dream e-commerce business, you need an e-commerce marketing platform that works just as hard as you do. That means you need Klaviyo. With Klaviyo, you'll delight customers and drive revenue at the same time. With personalized email and SMS marketing campaigns, you can design and send in minutes. For more, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. Today's episode is sponsored by ChatDesk. Are you struggling to respond to all your social media comments, DMs, and customer emails? Well, you're not alone. That's why ChatDesk came up with a solution to supercharge your support team instantly. With ChatDesk, machine learning and human support come together to transform your support tickets into satisfied customers. Leading brands such as Thinx and Shea Moisture lean on ChatDesk to increase revenue and customer satisfaction. Get started for free at chatdesk.com or click on the link in our show notes.